almost took some really harsh jabs at Coma and then just got shut down. And
that trash talking was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. My favorite was looking at Coma's face when he was saying that.
He was so mad. He was like, you just wait. You just wait, kid. And then SKT did get the win. But we're right going into bans. LeBlanc being banned out against Goong, actually, from KOO, although KOO does play a pretty good LeBlanc himself, too. And that's it. They really just want to try to limit Goong's champion pool, trying to...
I think this is very wise.
Yeah.
KOO, they're very different players. KOO, not much of an assassin player. There's the Azir ban. So KOO always known for that heavy control mage style, and Goong as the assassin player. So you're not really hurting KOO's champion pool too much. Narban will be going down. They may want to take Hecarim for Smeb. And what will the last ban be? It will be the Cassiopeia, so...
Whoa, okay, yeah. Didn't think we were going to see Rise. Maokai possibly for that top lane instead of Hecarim. Both being very strong in the top lane still.
I think you take Hecarim or Maokai here for sure. And that's what it's going to be, Maokai.
Nautilus being pondered over. I mean, Watch had some really good mechanics with that Gragas, and Gragas definitely a top-tier jungle pick right now for everyone.
And Watch always has one champion that he can play, that he really prioritizes, and we've seen a lot of that Gragas priority between teams, but the Nautilus is a bit interesting for Pure, and there is a very fast lock-in of a Lulu and a Rek'Sai, so we may see a return to Juggermawing here from the KOO Tigers.
I mean, Smeb put up a good fight with it against SKT. We'll see if KOO tries to go back to their roots.
So what is Goong going to play here? Because he doesn't have too many options. Remember, all the champions that he pretty much played in the opening series are gone at this point in time. Could play Kassadin, I suppose, but that's going to be a little bit tough, I think, against Lulu early.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really expect the Yasuo.
Ahri or Kassadin.
Ahri seems really reasonable. I mean, Goong was known for his Ahri 2 during his debut, as Ahri and Gragas making some really big highlight reels. Okyu, welcome back to Youngstown Esports Stadium. We missed you for the last couple of days, but
where you play Vayne. I mean, I do love the synergy between Gragas and Vayne. Isolating that target for Vayne can be very good, where she can burst them down quickly and then continue to tumble forward into the rest of the team once you have a man advantage. So I like it. They've got a great pick comp going on now with the Ahri, with the Vayne, but their team fighting is going to be somewhat limited. As Gorilla taking a look at that Annie right now.
It could add for some really good hard initiate for the KOO Tigers. I mean, they do have Maokai, but you want an AoE initiate and then lead into the Maokai with Wild Growth. That could be a pretty big combo, or even Rek'Sai with a Wild Growth. And if that's the case, yeah, I wouldn't expect something like an Ashe.
Lewis support.
Oh, okay. All right, Vladimir mid.
So mixing it up right there. They want the Vladimir just to dodge a lot of these Ahri skill shots, and they're picking the Vlad into the Vayne as well, because Vlad has a pretty easy time soloing Vayne. As we saw, that is something that CJ had to deal with when they played against Anarchy, where we saw Mickey just 1v1 dueling Space's Vayne and being very successful, because there's really nothing Vayne can do once you pull the Condemn. And that sustain allows you to take some pretty favorable trades right there. And Ahri not going to be too threatening to a Vladimir early either. We're pretty much going to have to push up. And are we going to see a top lane Nautilus? I guess
this is the thing today. I mean,
this is a thing today, I suppose.
Probably not is my bet.
Are you sure? I think we are.
I don't know. I had so much faith in it in the first match, and they made me lose it, and here we are looking at top lane Nautilus. I mean, what is this world coming to?
Lulu on support. Top lane Nautilus this time around. That's a very punishing lane, though. I mean, Lulu Lucian, just the autos from Lucian and Lulu alone are going to be really difficult for NaJin to deal with an Alistar Vayne combo. The trades are going to be absolutely brutal. So if NaJin doesn't get a lane swap here, I'd be very concerned about them. And the Tigers KOO going to be playing that Vladimir this time. KOO not one of the bigger Vlad players here in Korea overall compared to guys like Easy Hoon. So see what he can do with it.
Yeah, things could have changed during that downtime that KOO had with the KOO Tigers after the finals. So we are looking at the lineups that we just discussed. Goong back on that RA2, that's pretty exciting. We'll see how he is after some time since we saw it last. And Duke with the top lane Nautilus. I mean, even with the lane swap, Nautilus will still have some trouble too, but at least then you can try to rely on OQ growing big and then not making silly mistakes later in the game as we prepare for game number 1.
Yeah, and looking at Trace too with Nautilus, because he's been the one that I've seen play it the most in solo queue. Loving that wit's end on top lane Nautilus just to get your attack speed up and taking full attack speed red runes as well.
Well, we'll see what Duke comes in with. Game number 1 between NaJin Fire and the KOO Tigers for the second match of the day. Welcome everyone to match number 7 of the summer season. You know what is pretty sad is to see how much smaller the support for the NaJin organization has become from their fan club. They used to have one of the biggest fan clubs rivaling CJ Entrance for a while in League of Legends. Kinda has died down. But Watch is still there to keep a hold of the
keep a hold of the fangirls, yes. Yes he is. And Peanut as well.
That's true.
We haven't seen Peanut yet this season, actually.
Yeah, maybe trying to brush up a little bit more. Maybe even see if Watch can continue being a starter, perhaps.
Just some wards down right now. NaJin really wants to get this lane swap off. And I think that they would be in a lot of trouble if they don't get it. Just because of how fast that lane is going to be pushed in, how much trouble, even with the Alistar heal they will have in terms of keeping OQ in lane and farming, just with the passive from Lucian and Lulu doing a lot of work there. So see what they can pull off. Rek'Sai will be starting on the top side. Looks like Prey and Gorilla happy just to be in the bottom lane right now, and we are going to get the 2v2, it would appear.
Yeah.
And they're trying to defend those saplings, actually, so 3 saplings going down. Raptors will go over to Maokai, that means. Two saplings would be Vladimir, and 3 will be Maokai. So Smeb going to take some of that XP right off the bat before helping Hojin, the player formerly known as Lee, on his Gromp.
And the NaJin duo coming into lane to, just take some damage from the start, and that's how the rest of the laning phase is going to be for them.
This is a really brutal time for OQ, and I have to say, they do have a really good pick composition, but I question this repeated pick of Vayne. OQ just does weird things sometimes. He tried to make Twitch work at the end of last season to disastrous results, and NaJin trying to go away from the meta a little bit, and they did win with Vayne, but I'm not going to say they won because of Vayne in that last game.
Yeah, I'd say it was somewhat far from it, to be fair. But we'll see if he can put up a better game this time around in the first set against the KOO Tigers.
And I like the Tigers' reaction to it, however. Just what they did, they used the Lulu as a flex pick there, weren't afraid to take that Vladimir as a result, and now they're still harassing heavily under this tower.
Yeah, Gorilla really keeping up the pressure against OQ.
That's
wow.
So brutal.
And that's forced Pure to really just constantly be healing OQ. He's going to run out of mana at some point soon in another wave or two if he has to keep that up.
Yeah, the damage is getting down onto the tower as well. They're going to be losing some CS. OQ already a few CS down, and we're going to take a little bit of a pause, I suppose. Why not? Need a break early on, right?
Yeah, it's been some time. It looks like possibly KOO with a technical difficulty, but we will wait to get an update. OQ already looks very concerned.
Well,
he's like, oh no, what have I done? It's coming on. It's all coming back to me.
I mean, I wasn't even that impressed with OQ's Vayne mechanics in that game. His tumbling wasn't stellar. Mechanically, he was a little off too with his QSS usage. Pretty slow.
Whose Vayne was more impressive, OQ or Space?
Oh, jeez.
These are the AD carries we deal with now in Korea, Monty.
I'm trying to think if there's a good Vayne player left in Korea. I don't think there is. Imp is gone.
Imp is gone. Piglet's gone.
Yeah, those were the two good ones.
Yeah, and they really were good. I miss the days when Piglet would pick Vayne and then just roam after taking
split
care
push.
of the lane phase. Yeah,
Split push forever.
and then just go and gank for impact and get some kills. Well, it looks like everything's solved no matter what the problem was, and the players will be double checking to make sure everything's all right in game as we jump right back in with OQ getting hit once again.
And it looks like actually Gorilla going to back off from it, do some roaming here. Goong in the mid lane has to flash immediately. HoJin on the 330 gank and watches there, but Gorilla just tags him with a glitter lance so he can't join in from the side. Has control of that speed shrine already.
Not entirely sure, since HoJin was already ganking the lane, what exactly Gorilla was looking for there on the roam.
I think he was a little afraid that there might be a jungler coming
gank.
in, a counter gank, so maybe he can... They were already pushed up to that turret, but yes, it did relieve some of the pressure on this bottom side, allow OQ to catch up in terms of CS.
But they'll put it right back onto OQ and Pure. Shouldn't really be an issue. We do have Watch here in the bottom lane, though. With that relief, he's starting to just get right into that. And there's the flash on the Prey and headbutt back. There's the body slam, and he's just knocked all the way back with the condemn. He doesn't want to give the free kill to OQ at the tower, so he's just going to walk right back into the Vayne.
And Watch didn't have to flash there either. Pure burning his flash right away. And they knew the Gragas was on the bottom side of the map, so they had wards on the chokes and on the river, but they didn't anticipate the lane gank right there. So pretty bad mistake there from the Tigers, playing up like that and playing so close to the brush, and Prey making the error of dodging and didn't burn any of his summoners, however.
Yeah, and OQ will get a nice start ahead in CS, got first blood. Hopefully he can make something out of that towards the late game. Prey coming back just with double long swords as OQ does pick up that Vamp Scepter to keep him
Yeah, that was
longer in lane.
huge in this lane that Prey and Gorilla were doing quite well in beforehand. They gave them the back, too, which is probably the biggest thing because that allows Alistar to refill on that mana at the same time. So that worked out extremely well from NaJin. Good gank by Watch.
Yeah, Watch really seems to be on top of things as he's playing this Gragas. We saw that in the opening match, and he's just going to get a little bit of damage down onto Smeb too as he gets spotted. Won't have a chance to clear that ward as the minions are chasing him down.
I'm really excited to see Duke play this top lane Nautilus. Like I was saying before, Trace is the one who was doing it a lot in solo queue, and Jin Air is the team that tried it once to not very good effect, but in theory, this champion has so much lockdown potential, especially when you get a lot of items. Like I said, Trace usually builds full attack speed reds for his runes, and then will get a third or fourth item, Wit's End, just to get a maximum number of auto attacks down in the fight. HoJin looking for a gank.
HoJin's really set up for this, and Smeb is level 6. Duke not level 6 yet. He's going to get caught with the twist, and Duke just going to have to use his ultimate to try for an escape. He's trying to use his flash after the dredge line, but not going to hit, so he'll save his flash for now. Meanwhile, bottom, a slight duel between the 2v2.
Yeah, and in that gank too, Smeb had absolutely no mana left to follow up on that one. So you do see Rek'Sai having to flash there just to make sure they got sufficient damage down to secure that kill. Duke's not going to be too worried about it, though. He has his TP up. He's just going to TP right back to the turret. Not going to lose much in terms of experience or gold, and the kill also not going to Smeb. So
yeah,
it's like Duke probably going to go Catalyst first and then build into Righteous Glory. Pretty expected on this top lane Maokai. Or Maokai, Nautilus. He could go Rod, though, too. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Curious what he's going to do.
Righteous Glory does seem a little bit more probable, and Pure helping out Watch clear out that pink ward, making sure he has an exit as he provides some support there in the middle part of the map. And NaJin setting up a lot of wards around that Dragon Pit, possibly looking for an angle for Gragas to take that dragon if he finds a chance. Meanwhile, mid lane, both champions do have their ultimates. We'll see if Goong tries to make something happen with the Spirit Rush. Probably not, given that his opponent is a Vladimir. Smeb taking a lot of damage from Duke, so he'll just have to use his Vengeful Maelstrom to deny that duel. Still takes a little bit with the minions there on the side of Duke.
Well, the XP advantage swung in favor of Duke right there, because even though we saw Smeb hit 6 first, because Smeb walked back to lane and Duke TP'd, Smeb got the TP advantage, but he is taking a little bit more damage as a result of his decision to hold on to that summoner spell right there. Both players getting pretty darn low, though, and health pots in favor of Smeb, so NaJin's Duke going to have to go back right away, maxing that E in lane as you do in pretty much any position.
Yep, he actually just fakes it and then decides he's just going to ward up, assumes that Smeb will go back and he'll be back in lane farming. Smeb's still not going to use his teleport.
He's going to have to now, I think. If he doesn't want to fall further behind, yeah.
You
force it. That was actually a really clever move by Duke. Walk into the river right there, fake that teleport out just to get the summoner, and now Smeb not going to be able to use that on the opposite side of the map to make a play. And Duke will open up about a 2.5-minute window where he'll be able to use that board instead. The mind games.
Yeah, that is really clever. While Hochin was in the bottom lane, looking for an angle, not going to find it, so we'll not port back. We'll actually just walk back as he's spotted there with the Scrying Orb from OQ.
It'd be really helpful even to have those little tunnels like that, though, because you can cover so much ground if Prey and Gorilla are able to defend that tunnel on the bottom side. As you can see, Gorilla just firing off a Glitter Lance there for some zone control. KOO going to take the Raptors and really start to farm up right now. Already has that Hextech Revolver, and he's getting into that point where Vlad is really going to be able to start wave clearing in the next couple of levels. And the all-in potential from Ahri is really difficult. I mean, Vlad is a great pick against NaJin's composition because they need to make picks here. Their composition is all about making picks, and that most of their damage being single target, and Vlad is just, he's going to dodge the charm, he's going to dodge your CC, and get away pretty easily considering he has 2 mobility summoners as well.
Yeah, KOO will kind of be the highlight for the KOO Tigers later on if we get into team fights. And of course, a lot relies on OQ here and his teammates to set something up for him to avoid those situations against Vladimir. So positioning later on, and of course teleport battles between the top laners will matter quite a bit. Hojin looking for an angle from behind with Smeb too, and they're just going to go in there. There's a Spirit Rush, but it gets disrupted with the knock-up, and Goong will just die to the Hemoplague from KOO. Nice back off from the rest of his teammates too after the Hemoplague goes down.
Yeah, Hojin not even having the flash there, but getting underneath with the knock-up. Smeb choosing to flash on the roam, so had everything pushed up. Look at the vision coverage already down as well from the Tigers. That was a very safe gank to execute. They had eliminated a lot of those wards. Good pinks, and so clean gank right there. Gets KOO a kill, and he completes his Will of the Ancients. And Goong opting to start this time with the Morello Nomicon. Probably, you would think, building into Luden's Echo next.
Yeah, it would help a lot, especially inside Vladimir, who's going to keep pushing up. Spirit Rush down for Goong, though, so he's not going to be able to exert too much pressure in the mid lane. NaJin's still trying to take this chance to go for a solo dragon. Now OQ going to also come up here. Even though the wave is pushing in favor of KOO, they left the lane, so they just want to try to make this dragon as quick as possible. And OQ going to leave in the middle of it as they deem it safe enough with no one being spotted right at the red buff from KOO Tigers.
Yeah, Tigers just choosing to give this up too. I mean, they didn't even use the Void Rush right there, and we just see Hojin going over and warding right now afterwards. So they knew what they were sacrificing in order to make that play, but they get a free recall. Meanwhile, Vayne's still not in lane. OQ doing a great job of just keeping up in terms of CS. Already has that Blade of the Ruin King finish, so a nice advantage for him in this lane after that early gank was so successful.
And KOO getting a deep ward in against the NaJin team. He's going to clear that pink. Gets hit by a charm, but not too concerned as his teammates show up. And Goong doing his job to clear the deep ward from KOO with his lens.
And there's just not a whole lot that Goong's able to do in terms of sustain in this lane either. He's going to lose out over time on these trades, even though he does have that passive that gives him a little bit of spell vamp from time to time. It's just Vlad is really coming into his own right now. This is where Vlad gets very strong. Continue to push the wave, constantly chipping away at your tower. Goong trying to take those little raptors right there. Doesn't have time to finish the big one off, though, and that unrelenting pressure that KOO's putting on, just walking right up to that minion wave and pushing, pushing, pushing.
Yeah, KOO trying to start to extend that CS lead. Meanwhile, bottom, thanks to the early lifesteal from OQ, not as concerned about the rest, although that kind of hurts now with the Glitterlands being upgraded.
But now that he has the Blade and he's got the Alistar heal, it doesn't really matter. He's going to be losing these
KOO's
trades.
caught in the middle. He already pulled, so there's a charm afterwards. A little bit of a misstep for him, going way too deep for wards against NaJin.
Yeah, especially without backup right there. Your bottom lane is pushed in. Hojin's just not there to help you out. So you walk into a blind jungle like that and you expose yourself to an all-in attempt.
KOO Tigers did spot watch from the Dragon Pit, so they're going to play pretty safely here in the bottom lane. Hojin also making his way down bottom in case they still go for a dive. Although we probably won't see that with the Lulu there for ultimate being live. And Hojin spots the red buff steal attempt from Watch. Will he be able to stop it though? Pure is also here, so is OQ. And yeah, they're just going to have to back off from that as Watch smites it.
Oh yeah, some mistakes here from the Tigers early on, and this is where they struggled throughout the season. There are so many games that they would start out in a hole in the laning phase because their laning phase simply wasn't up to par compared to a lot of the other teams. But then, just due to great use of item power spike timings and good team fighting, they would be able to come back from behind and take a win. And it worked for them for a long time, but it's still a weakness that this team has that they haven't, I think, really shored up yet. At least looking like it in this game, making some mistakes in terms of getting caught out alone or not respecting where Watch is. Both of the kills from NaJin coming from not really thinking about where Watch could be in the map, even though they had some information.
Really makes you wonder that perhaps the NaJin in them never really left. I mean, that's the way they played when they were in NaJin. Yeah, they would wait until those power spike timings. Also, when Expression was back on Shield for NaJin, we saw that a lot from that organization too. So
it was a long time ago. I wonder what happened to Expression.
I think he still plays here and there, I've heard. See him now and then in game from other people's clips, but for now we're back to farming in this game. Not much, and it is that Rod of Ages actually from Duke for that Nautilus.
Yeah, I think usually Trace does go for the Rod of Ages first in this build. And try and just deal a little bit more damage with Nautilus in the late game. And since Pure maybe going for a Righteous Glory anyway, and Glory not actually the most necessary, I would say, in this composition. You have a lot of ways to pick somebody off already with the crowd control that you have and the mobility coming in from Alistar and from Ahri, as well as Gragas. I mean, you close those gaps pretty quickly,
yeah,
so.
That makes sense. I am gonna assume we are also seeing those attack speed runes on Duke, just given his animations in lane. Of course, we'll be able to double check that once the day is over. Hojin hasn't really been doing too much. I mean, he's had a couple successful ganks, but being relatively inactive, just farming away as Watch goes for the Rift Scuttler on the bottom side. Dragon is up in a minute and a couple more seconds afterwards.
Yep, just more and more farming. It's been a very farm-heavy day, except for that Game 2 with SK Telecom, where they were mostly just farming Spanish champions. A little bit of a different story that time around.
Game 1 made up for all of that.
It's Abyssal Scepter, actually, next on Goong, so very concerned with these trades from Vladimir, actually. But that'll delay a lot of damage from Ahri. Will help with Nautilus' damage just a little bit, and Gragas' as well. So perhaps in a team fight, they'll be outputting just a little bit more. But we're dead even in this game right now. But NaJin having that completed Blade of the Ruin King, no Infinity Edge yet, and not really that close either for Prey.
That teleports up for both top laners. Dragon waits to spawn in 20 seconds. We were just trying to keep up the pressure in mid lane, but KOO's not going to let down either. Prey getting a nice ward towards the river there to make sure they know exactly when NaJin leaves the lane. Goes for the dragon. Hojin making his way back towards the bottom side of the map. Looks like both teams might start to gather a little bit. Oh, Goong and KOO getting in a little bit of a scuffle, but neither one taking too much damage. OQ trying to get pressured out by the KOO Tigers, but again, all that sustain we mentioned earlier. Nice chuck by Hojin, but watch, we'll just get rid of that ward. Probably sit there again.
Merc Tread's actually from KOO as well, and against the composition they're dealing with this amount of CC, that's probably a wise decision. Good warding from both teams, actually. No one with complete control over the pit yet. Not really any movement. No one is in a position to go ahead and take this at this juncture. Smeb already has the home guards. He has a chance right now to recall. He's actually going to start punching a pink ward in the tri-brush up at top side. Duke's going to cut him off.
Yeah, and Smeb, yeah, he needs to watch which path he takes out of that. Might just have to walk back to lane as we see Goong starting to maybe make his way up top. KOO trying to make sure he can follow if he does. And so no moves on Dragon. Both teams deciding that it's too dead even to take a risk. Let's try to wait until the other team makes a little slip up, and KOO gonna take this chance after they push up the bottom lane to clear some of that vision near the Dragon. Watch is still nearby. Hojin might have sensed that with his Tremor Sense, so he'll back off from the mid lane. Smeb just using Twisted Advance to come back towards his tower.
Yeah, Duke really winning a lot of these trades, however. And Smeb is trying to get a Frozen Heart first to help deal with this Vayne, but it's not helping him in the lane at all. So his itemization not really for the laning phase here outside of those Merc Treads. Of course, with that home guard already up, he wants to fight this Vayne as soon as possible and really make her life quite difficult. Although what is good is that the Frozen Heart will limit some of the CC from Nautilus's passive, so it does have some upside, just not in terms of the damage that is going to be coming in these team fights. And KOO just slowly farming his way. Already has the Distortion enchantment for that uptime on his Ghost and Flash as well. And he probably is going to be working towards that Zhonya's Hourglass, particularly against the Vayne at this point in time. But no real attempt at this Dragon. Smeb slowly losing control over his tower.
Yeah, Duke's been keeping up the pressure really well. Abyssal Scepter also finished for Goong on the side of NaJin. So both mid laners going back and getting some crucial itemization done before a possible dragon fight. Goong also just picked up that blue buff, so NaJin may be looking for an angle once again. They have gotten some vision in the river again, but it's been shared by the KOO Tigers and not too much behind the dragon pit. And there we go, Pure finally getting some vision behind there, but they're still just in broad daylight for the KOO Tigers if they start that dragon. Goong tried to position himself first, and there's a teleport coming in from Smeb actually from home with the home guard, and he's going to Twisted Advance onto Watch. There's an explosive cast to keep all of KOO Tigers behind, and Goong's putting out so much damage onto KOO. He actually has to pull out, and Gorilla caught way behind the fight against OQ. Meanwhile, Prey gets a kill, but Oki's going to clean up Gorilla and join the fight once again as Watch starts to chase Smeb. Smeb's going to have to flash away from the charm, and that should be a clean dragon for NaJin.
And those little skirmishes where everyone is broken up is exactly the kind of fight that NaJin wants. They want to duel with this Ahri in the Vayne, and Goong did a great job of just dealing with Vladimir from the outside. KOO not really able to do anything in spite of using both summoners right there, getting into the fight with just a sliver of HP. And I'm not even sure how Prey took so much damage on the outside, but I mean, KOO's composition, they don't want to engage where they are broken up. They want to be all together as a unit and trying to poke a little bit with the culling or get some Vladimir transfusions off before going in. So Prey right here tries to get the culling, but he gets smacked into a wall and takes a lot of damage immediately. Duke is right there. Prey takes the depth charge. What a great cue from Goong over the side as well, right as that depth charge hits. So nice skill shot from Goong, and Goong's play on this Ahri. He basically took out both carries in that fight.
Yeah, really good positioning and skill shots from Goong.
I mean, we know that Goong is an amazing Ahri player. That doesn't come as any surprise. He's been playing this champion for years at this point, both in and out of meta. I mean, he's famous for playing Ahri even when no one else is.
Yes, it's definitely one of his signature champions since the beginning.
but will they be able to do a lot late with this composition? Looks like Duke moving towards that Frozen Heart, and Prey opting to do the Ghost Blade build on Delusion. He does prefer this build. He's one of the few players in Korea that does like to pop that Ghost Blade and really maximize his culling damage.
KOO choosing to take that blue, as NaJin also doesn't really need it on the reg side. So might as well get the cooldown for himself and the experience, but Goon's going to take that chance to shove down the tier 1 in mid a lot, and KOO having taken maybe a little too long at that blue buff. Goon's just going to go ahead and take it. A charm for the escape.
I mean, the game's still really close, but NaJin has that slight advantage in terms of gold, but really it's the Dragon advantage that they're going to be quite happy with here.
So NaJin trying to show up in mid lane, but Watch is right there for a counter gank, and NaJin's going to spot him with the Tremor Sense. He's going to clear that ward right away with the help of his pink for the KOO Tigers. NaJin's starting to feel pretty good about this game, despite the minuscule difference in gold.
I would still be worried about NaJin if they engage in true 5v5s in the late game. Now, they have the tools to force these skirmishes. I think the Nautilus ult, another thing to lock somebody down, to give Ahri and Vayne time to burst, but KOO is going to get really tanky with the ultimate as well from Lulu on the support pick, so they may be able just to ride out the burst from Ahri, and if that's true, then the Vayne should be a pretty easy target to go for.
Alright. Duke still trying to put up some pressure in the top lane, but Smeb's doing okay for himself, a little behind in CS, but has a clean 0-0-3 score. Bottom lane has been pretty much the same for some time. OQ did fall a little bit more behind in CS, but still able to farm up what he needs with that sustain from his items, and of course his support on Alistar.
I'm curious if Goon's going to go for the Echo as his next item. I think that is the best option that he's going to have. KOO really, really needs to get that Zhonya's Hourglass so he's not in the same situation that he was before, where he has to burn pool before getting into the fight. I mean, you really need both of those abilities to get another round of cooldowns off over the course of a team fight. And especially against some of these single target assassins, it's going to be very useful. Does he have enough money at the moment? And he does, so that's a very important buy.
And then more magic resist with the null magic mantle.
Yeah, it's probably going to go Abyssal next. Be very defensive, at least for the moment.
I mean, once you complete them, that'll help your team quite a bit too, with Maokai and Lulu there. And Smeb charging towards the bottom lane. He will have teleport by the time he gets there, so if he needs to go to top, he'll make it. Looks like it might be a 4-man gank in bottom.
They were kind of sacrificing one tower for this, so they're going to have to get a whole lot off of this dive, but he's going to sneak right into that brush. And you can see Prey setting this up with the culling, just eliminating that wave, and they gotta go on this next wave.
Yeah, Prey taking so much damage, the Pure jumps in, there's a heal. Prey, is he gonna go down first? There's a Wild Growth to keep him alive, but here comes the teleport from Duke as he lands, and there's the home guard. He's gonna charge towards Prey. There's a depth charge. Prey will be pretty far from the fight, but Watch comes in, explodes his cast, and there's a dredge line from Duke to pick up the kill. Goong is now here to try to turn things even worse for KOO, but they will back off. They already got 2 kills. NaJin and Fire turning things around.
That was such a good response from NaJin to be aware that that play had the possibility of coming in. Now, Prey did telegraph that a little bit, and he took a ton of damage, down to about a 3rd HP before we saw the follow-up. So I think a little bit of miscommunication and miscoordination there from the Tigers as they tried to get that one, but instant teleport at that same time from Duke to react.
And here comes Watch for another dive. It is a Maokai and a Lulu, but no Wild Growth, and there's no minions left, so NaJin will just have to back out. Watch is going to take some extra unnecessary tower damage, but he'll just be able to body slam out at the end there.
KOO also making his way down. He's going to lose some minions on the turret for that, though. But Goong also really on top of that one, having the Spirit Rush, and he already had opened up the map due to taking down that mid turret, and they've got so many wards in the bottom side. Just very well played by NaJin. If we take a look at this one again, I mean, Goong and Watch are already moving down here at this point. There's the heal on the Prey and the Wild Growth. that he's just not able to deal enough damage to Pure during his ultimate to make it worthwhile. Dashes out, flashes out, gets knocked up, but look at Watch. First off, what a great mechanical play by Watch there. He flash body slammed into the Rek'Sai and then knocked both Lucian and Rek'Sai to the side.
And also Prey walking too close to the brush to allow the 3-man knockup from Pure to start things off. Really gave OQ a little bit more time to keep that distance from Smeb from the surprise gank, and NaJin trying to lead this right into a third dragon. They do have a pretty big advantage. Smeb just trying to deny that by taking that tier 1 on top. He does have teleport, but will he have an angle to port in? Doesn't look like it, so KOO Tigers just a slight passive attempt at stealing the dragon. Not going to happen, and NaJin now with 3 stacks and 6 kills to 3.
Yeah, this is still a very close game in terms of gold there, but NaJin really starting to run away. These dragons are going to become all important in the next few minutes, and I'm not sure that the Tigers are going to have enough time to get tanky enough. Now, they're all going to group right now, try and use Lucian to clear the wave and take the mid lane tower, but there's too much defense right now from NaJin, EM-Fire, and Nautilus will be joining as well from the side, and the members of the Tigers are in a very flank vulnerable position right now, so they will have to back off.
Oh, NaJin actually gets caught, condemned to the wall, and there's a body slam explosive cat. There's a depth charge onto Prey. He gets caught way out of the fight, and Goong with another kill on the scoreboard, and NaJin will walk right towards Baron at 30 minutes.
Prey's positioning this game has been really suspect. He's taken some trades and taken some deaths that he shouldn't have. He was trying to help out right there after NaJin got caught, but that's a huge Baron for NaJin, who is looking like a much tighter team than we saw earlier this week when they fell to Anarchy and were kind of all over the place in terms of their play style. They were just really on top of, look at that combo. NaJin just has no chance in that situation. And Prey knocking him over as well. But I mean, Watch has been great on this Gragas, that's for sure. He won that MVP in NaJin's first game, and he's making he's really doing well tonight. That play in the bottom lane where he turned that gank around was particularly impressive. Now the last Whisper complete, QSS done.
Wow.
I'm not sure anything's going to be stopping OQ at this stage.
Yeah, things look really good. Of course, already 3 stacks of Dragon 2. That movement speed is going to be pretty big in these fights where OQ really want a kind of a messy fight in their advantage. So like you said, KOO Tigers will need a lot more time, probably at least 10 or 15 more minutes to make something completely in their favor in game 1 of this series. Watch just going to tank that for a little bit, allowing OQ to take the tier 1 and bottom, widening that gold lead even more in favor of NaJin.
Yeah, NaJin really showing up. Now they didn't have the staying power down the stretch after winning that first game with a similar composition of mid-assassin versus and Vayne when they played up against Anarchy. So we'll see if the Tigers can bounce back a little bit, because I like their composition here, but there's been a lot of misplays, a lot of timing errors from the Tigers, just not very clean in terms of setting up ganks or communicating where Watch is on the map.
Now the culling really not doing much against an already very tanky Watch, and Oki's just going to safely take that tier 2, and so is Duke in mid lane. Pressure in 2 lanes altogether here for NaJin. Some pings in the top lane, so we'll see if a couple of the members of NaJin rotate up there while the others keep up the pressure in mid, or if they'll just all move up there and push down towards that tier 2 while taking control of the jungle.
Yeah, I think they just want to complete their conquest of the inner ring of turrets before moving further. Might as well play this one methodically. They do have this great advantage, and Goong actually going for a death cap. Been surprised about that one.
Yeah, he did finish that after that big fight down in the bottom lane.
Goong looking for a charm, not going to find it.
Preferring that extra damage overall.
Yeah, the thing about it, though, is with Spirit Rush, you have so many opportunities to proc that Luden's Echo multiple times over the course of a team fight, so it ends up being a pretty efficient item on Ahri. And here we go. Just moving all the waves up right now. OQ doing a little bit of split pushing. They have to answer with the Vlad, but it's nice that KOO at least does have an answer to a split pushing Vayne.
Yeah, Prey, whoa, dashing forward, trying to just be confident in the fact that OQ needed some time to join up that bottom lane so that NaJin Fire was not looking for a full-on fight. And so NaJin will just back off. They got some damage onto the tier 2 and top. They'll be able to revisit later. Here using that poor Scuttler as just a place to jump over the wall into the river.
Yeah, they want to go for this 4th dragon right now. They want to put the timer on this game when they already have a substantial gold advantage. And if you're the Tigers, I think you got to take this Gragas away from Watch. I think that's been the key. We've seen how much they prioritize this pick, and Watch is too good on it. The Maokai for Smeb has been working a little bit in the top side, and they did manage to grab that early kill onto Duke, but it just hasn't had enough of an effect on the rest of the game. And Smeb, you know, he went for the early home guard boots here, but they never really made a play with it.
Yeah. Never really had a need for it at all, given that NaJin Fire always taking the first step in these fights, and NaJin coming in for an invade, but Prey will finish that pretty quickly. He does have a Last Whisper himself on top of his other 2 items, so it's not that Prey is necessarily lacking in damage, although OQ is a BF sword ahead of him.
Well, he's still going to have a hard time dealing with Duke. Duke is super tanky right now.
Just going to get a little bit of lockdown to Smeb. He does get charmed, and he already had to use his ultimate. And, oh, they're going to push him right back in with an explosive cask, and OQ's now here to start the damage on whoever's in front of him. He's going to now latch onto Hoshin, and then Kuro not able to stick to them. Meanwhile, Duke's going to keep Smeb zoned while Goong picks up a kill onto Gorilla, and OQ just chasing Kuro down, not going to have an answer for that Vayne. Oh, there's the Zonias. But there's a tumble, and Watch is going to steal that under from OQ's nose, and Duke's still just keeping Smeb at bay, but with way more health, and Watch just with a barrel from the side.
Smeb is just healing with his passive right now, faster than Duke can actually damage him, so needs a little bit of a helping hand there to finish off the kill. Now they're going to get that dragon number 4, going ahead and prioritizing that. OQ can solo push into the mid inhibitor at the moment, only Hojin there to stop him, so pretty clean game from NaJin right here, taking every single dragon so far. And the Tigers not having too much of an answer to some of Watch's jungling. And Watch's really fantastic explosive casks over the course of this game.
Yeah, 209 with some...
Yeah, nearly 100% kill contribution. Taking a look at this one again. So Smeb gets caught out, then he gets isolated. This is exactly the kind of fight they need. Look, they punt the Vladimir out. He's been ghosting this entire time, and he only, at the very end, managed to get a few attacks down, but by that time he's alone with Vayne and a whole boatload of crowd control in the back line. I mean, this composition is being really nicely played out by NaJin. They're getting the fights they want. But that said, they've been playing this style in the games that they have won so far. It's only been 2. I assume they're going to win this one. But when they don't have Gragas and they're reliant on this Vayne and an assassin pick, is it going to be able to be pulled off? My guess is no.
Right.
The Gragas explosive cask has really been instrumental to getting Vayne and Ahri in these 1v1s.
And like you said, that's always been the case for Watch, too. He always has that one champion that he can really make a big difference on for his team, and that kind of that's the centerpiece for their whole team's play style. See if NaJin has adjusted some of that coming in after a big loss to Anarchy on opening day. We have Thornmail now for Duke, too.
That's a lot of damage on that shield.
Yeah. Oh, and a nice stretch line up to Smeb. Once again, the culling already used up, and Smeb just cannot move with all this CC coming in. He does jump onto Ogi, but there's a QSS.
Wow.
A 3-man knockup coming in for NaJin Fire, and Kuro can't do anything as Goong dances around the sides of the fight, and NaJin with a quick ace against the KOO Tigers.
And there we go. Finally, the kill goes over to OQ. OQ 5-0-6 had a strenuous couple of minutes early on in lane, but it was turned around very quickly, and now they should be able just to push forward for the win right here. Long death timers in this game, and they have a minion wave to make it work. They're just going to be able to tank it out. They've got this very tanky Nautilus to deal with these Nexus turrets, and that's going to be it. NaJin really rolling to a game 1 win.
Well, very well played. I mean, they executed their composition as it should have been. And a little bit more surprising might just be the fact that the KOO Tigers seemed really shaken up in that first game.
Yeah, I think they had a good draft to deal with this too. They had an answer to the Vayne split push. They did some interesting things in the pick and ban phase to make sure that they could deal with what NaJin was throwing at them, but it was a lot of mechanical and positional misplays from the Tigers that got them really far behind in terms of gold. And at that point, NaJin just had their way in those team fights, isolating people for OQ and Ari and Gung to burn down. And